if you had that opportunity, maybe it's not a 3-hour commute, but like doesn't look ideal, but it's something you really want to do, make the jump and make the leap. Because if you told me then I'd be an SVP of commercial now, I'd probably be like, yeah, right.
Today's guest is Dury Kim, SVP of Commercial Strategy and one of the hospitality industry's most respected commercial leaders. What makes Dury's story particularly interesting is that she didn't start at the executive level. She started as an intern, worked her way through revenue management, and ultimately became one of the industry's leading voices on commercial strategy. Most recently, she was recognized as the 2025 Revenue and Distribution Executive of the Year by HSMAI New York City.
Commercial strategy to me means like almost everybody's involved and everyone is a revenue generator and a revenue thinker. I think that that's pretty much the core essence of commercial strategy. So like not that everyone has like the same responsibility per se, but everybody has the same goal.
In this conversation, we explore how commercial strategy has evolved, why revenue, marketing, sales, and distribution can no longer operate in silos, and what hospitality leaders need to do to stay competitive in today's market. I'm Calvin Taloki, and this is Socially Awkward. So when did you realize that revenue management was becoming something bigger than just pricing and forecasting?
The first time I came to a realization that was beyond pricing and forecasting was when I started to transition from like analyst to director. Because once you have that director title, there's a lot of people who rely on you and ask you a lot of questions. So then the capacity to like learn and grow beyond what, just pricing and forecasting and even inventory management has started to kind of balloon. I think the biggest thing is understanding how like the different departments had worked too. So like going from like an analyst to a director, you're now responsible for corresponding with the department heads. I think learning a little bit about each functionality also helped in terms of like understanding what the full job was. But not only that, but I feel like revenue management just had been a lot of fire drills and learning as you go and just kind of like pivoting every single day. Because like one day you can have like something like a airline had to like shut down, their work or whatever, and like everyone floods to your hotels or what have you. So pretty early in my career, I learned that revenue management is bigger than pricing and forecasting. And like even as like revenue management started evolving and like you get more involved with sales and you get more involved with operations and the marketing teams because paid search and marketing became so big with the interweb. I think that's when you realize that everything is your responsibility. I think in revenue management like has a hand in the cookie jar, everyone's cookie jar. So I think that's where, pretty much. I think that's when I think I've decided, okay, revenue management, you can't just do pricing. You can't just price your rooms. You have to like look at the big picture of things. So that's pretty much when I started to zoom out a little bit and start to learn from other people outside of revenue management.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of big picture thinking in revenue management. And if you don't possess that skill, not going to last very long. Hey, let me ask you something. If you're running a hotel and you know social media matters, but you just don't have the time to figure it out, you're not alone. That's exactly why I built RevPar Media. We work with hotels to create marketing strategies that actually drive bookings, not just likes. From social media management to influencer campaigns to full creative production, we've been in the room, we've managed the revenue, and we know what moves the needle. If that's something you're looking to solve right now, scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the show notes. Now, back to today's conversation. You've been in the industry as it's changed, as that model has changed from simply revenue management to commercial strategy. So you've been on both sides of this. How would you define commercial strategy today?
I think commercial strategy is pretty much anything that, like I kind of mentioned before, just involving in other departments, right? So you can't generate revenue or like have profitability or anything without knowing a little bit of everything. And I say this because like revenue management as a whole has a lot of responsibilities to begin with. And I think that it was the evolution from like reservation sales to like revenue management. So like having a background understanding of even sales is important. And then just like looping in, what is the best, practices for your property in terms of a top line perspective. So I kind of look at it for a top line generating team that's pretty much holistic. So commercial strategy to me means like almost everybody's involved and everyone is a revenue generator and a revenue thinker. I think that that's pretty much the core essence of commercial strategy. So like not that everyone has like the same responsibility per se, but everybody has the same goal. So everyone's kind of aligned in what their vision for what's best for your property or what's best for your portfolio looks like. Especially because like if you just look at, everyone's motives individually as a department, we may have different objectives, right? So like historically, revenue management teams would just drive the top line, right? And then sales teams were like, I got to make my incentives. Let's bring in all the groups, right? Make the goals.
Right.
And then operations teams like balancing it. Yeah. And then, of course, like everyone will be like, okay, I booked this group. Like now we have to pivot, right? So without that connection of like, okay, this is our main goal and like a cohesive vision, there's no commercial strategy, right? So like, I think that, bringing everything together brings like more collaboration, and generally like more peacefulness too. No one's fighting each other. I think the biggest frustrations I always had, like when there's silos, is that everyone's frustrated at each other. Because they're like, oh, this one so doesn't listen to me, or like, this person just booked this without telling me, or like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of fragmented pieces to like revenue strategy as a whole and even commercial strategy as a whole. And then, of course, operations has their complaints too, right? Like, oh, so-and-so overbooked my property with this group or like whatever, right? So there's always that conversation behind like, well, if everyone's on the same page and everyone made a decision together and has the same goal, there's less frustration.
So how does that look in practical terms? So how do you bridge that gap and make sure that everyone is on the same page?
Well, that's actually an interesting topic that you bring up, because that's something that I've been tasked with most recently with my recent like promotion to like commercial strategy to look holistically. You have to build in the same kind of like layers. So I think like support number one is the most important, is how do you build your bench and your support network? Because without it, you really can't make any movement in any direction. And that's secondly is like ensuring that the right people are talking to each other and right people also then have a plan. So I couldn't just make a decision for the rest of the department heads or even the rest of the team without so-and-so knowing what their goals and initiatives are too, right? So like essentially everyone has to have some sort of alignment. It may look different for every individual, but the end goal matters. So if everybody knows what the end goal is or the end objective is, then that's kind of how we start to tie it in. I think bench number one, communication number two, and number three is direction. So there has to be somebody who's like saying, okay, like this isn't working out on this person's end. Let's pivot to this. Now, this aligns a little bit better with what our vision is or what our goals are. And it may not be perfect in the beginning 100% of the time. So like having flexibility, I think, is the next piece of the puzzle. So that commercial teams need to be flexible. Not everything goes your way. Unfortunately, we can't predict the pandemics of the world. We can't predict the government shutdowns.
If you could, it'd be a very rich person.
Right. I'd probably be in politics. But yeah, like you can't predict those things happening, like, limitation of travel or like even wars, right? So like those are the kind of things that like I think people need to have flexibility on is, yes, it didn't work out this way, but this is our next step. So then just iterating processes too. So having the right people and processes, I think I remember seeing a quote in that in college at one point, but it is critical. Like people are talking to each other, people have the same goal, people can pivot. I think that's the core essence of it, is like giving people the autonomy to make those decisions too. And, having them lead their departments, but having one person above everything just saying, okay, like this is not working out. So like one arm isn't talking to another. Let's bring it together again.
Yeah. And, one thing that I had implemented when I was in the revenue management seat is, I mean, as you talk about, communication is paramount to everything. And overselling a hotel hits different when front desk knows why you're doing it. So, we'd come up with kind of like a daily newsletter where we tell them, this is the goal for today as far as rooms sold. These are the rates we take for walk-ins. If we're oversold and we need to walk, these are the hotels that we're reaching out to. And that mitigates a lot of that frustration of just being blindsided by, wait, we're oversold by 10 rooms. What are we going to do? I think it also reduces that feeling of this vision that outside of revenue management has people outside of revenue, that revenue manager just in the ivory tower, calling shots, setting rates, overselling hotels, and getting paid.
And it also gives them the power to say, okay, you can go sell blast rooms within these means. And I think that's really critical because it's a plan, right? So you have a plan and everybody agrees on the plan. That way everyone feels like they have that voice. Because I think that's a really interesting point where yes, a lot of the times corporate employees and most of the time corporate employees are the revenue managers, right? Feel like they're just in their offices making these decisions and putting a stamp on it versus, having that conversation with the teams. And I think that's probably one of the more important things in life is just communication in general with any industry, right? Outside of just hotel management, I think everybody just needs to communicate better.
Yeah, that's just relationships in general.
Yeah.
Any relationship.
It's a people business. Yeah.
Exactly. Your career began obviously as an intern. Looking back, what experiences helped most shape your leadership philosophy?
Well, I think it's what shaped me as a whole. I think I'll answer that. And before I get into the leadership philosophy, having great mentors to learn from. So you included, I wanted to be a leader who everybody wanted to follow, right? And I think you set a really great example for that. You taught with kindness, you led with kindness, but you still were firm with people that you needed to be firm with. You protected your own. So even if I made a mistake, you would, take my side and show me later on. I think that's the biggest leadership experience that I could take away from is mentorship. And then what shapes my philosophy in leadership is also giving back, right? So not only do I learn and grow from people like you and some other mentors that I've had in my career? But it's how can I shape other people to be the same way? And I think that, my leadership philosophy as a whole is just, be kind and be understanding, but also try to be a boss that I want to work for and that I have worked for. So mirroring the relationships that I've had in the past, what I enjoyed, conversation wise. I think the biggest thing I always take away, and actually always used to tell my analysts and my interns, etc., is I had a boss, and it was really you, who used to always go, "Hey, do you have a minute? Come into my room, and show me things," right? And I think that hoarding knowledge is a detriment to yourself and even the individual that you're training, right? But giving back is my leadership philosophy. So even now to this day, I love giving back to students, right? So kids in college, help mentor them, train them. And we do the intercollegiate conference at HSMAI in New York. And I always volunteer for it because I think that there's value in giving back to even young people and showing them the excitement of hospitality and hotels and even in revenue management or commercial strategy. There's just so much to learn. And I think that's the core essence of my leadership philosophy. And what shaped it most is probably mentorship, people mentoring me and me mentoring others. So I give you a nice shout out for that one.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, it was always a joy working with you. I know you've talked about this on other podcasts, so I'll tell the story for you. This was actually my first director role at the Renaissance Westchester. That was after a rough patch in my career. The previous year, I had been laid off 3 times in one calendar year. Position elimination twice, then just a straight layoff after that. So it was rough. And then I got a job at the Crowne Plaza Times Square where you interned for me. And shortly thereafter, I was offered the position of a director at the Renaissance Westchester. And I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt, sometimes you hit a point in your career, you're like, this is it. This has to work.
Yeah.
If I don't make this work, I'm toast. This is it. And so it was crucial that I succeeded there. And obviously, I chose you to be my right hand and yeah, be the person that supported me there and ensure that we would be successful. And you commuted 3 hours one way every day to do that. And I know a lot of people sitting here listening like, what? So you were commuting 6 hours a day?
I don't think anyone in this like generation or like the upcoming generation would have done the same. But it is worth it, guys. This is how badly I wanted to be in revenue management, and how it's a testament to like, also your mentorship too, is like, I knew that you'd be a great boss to learn from, and also like grow career with. So it's worth it. It was worth it.
Yeah. Sometimes you just get a good fit, and, a good fit for everyone. But, being able to put in that effort, and it's something that, before all of this happened, I was commuting to Brooklyn from Westchester, from White Plains every day. And it wasn't 3 hours, but maybe about 2 hours one way. So from a train to another train to a walk and back, late nights, doing budgets and stuff like that. But you've got to put in the grind. It might look a little different for, this next generation or wherever you guys are right now. But at some point, and I'll just say it is my podcast, some point you're going to have to eat shit, and it's unavoidable. And you just have to do it, and, make sure you're doing it for the right purpose, and, know where that's going to go. But you got to do it. And, Dury did it. And one thing I've always said, before we move on to the next point, is I've always trained and mentored people. And I think I said this to you many times. I'm training you like as if I'm going to work for you one day. And you're an SVP. I'm not. I never was. So if I ever wanted a job, I'd be working for you.
Celebrity instead, which I could always see you doing, but
I went down a different lane. But if this celebrity thing doesn't work out, and I need a job in hotels again, guess who I'd be working for?
Yeah, I mean, I will say that is probably critical. Like, I think like you train people so that they can take over your role one day too. And I think that's a real testament to what true leadership looks like, is like, you're not hoarding your talent, you're not hoarding your knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think that's also why I've been so successful. I feel very grateful and very lucky that I've had really great mentors, right, in my career to help me along my journey. I mean, but you're right, where like there are sometimes you go through a slump, and you're just going to have to like work through it. Right. And other times, like, it is worthwhile. Like, I stuck around, I think, I don't know, I did that 3-hour commute for a couple of directors after you too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like, I think, maybe 2.5 years, but like, it was worth it. Like, you think at the time, oh my God, I'm never going to get out of this, or it feels like forever when you're young. But like, when looking back at it, I was like, oh, that was worth it. It was worth learning. It was worth the journey. And like, I don't think I would have been here today if I didn't make that, sacrifice of time, right? Like, time is always like important, but like, again, like the right way you spend it.
Yeah. And, I can say with confidence that puts you in a good light with the company we worked for. I know a lot of the leadership, because I was progressing, they would ask me, hey, who's the next person, or who was your analyst there? And I would always tell that story, and people were blown away. I mean, it shows a level of commitment, of desire. It gets you noticed in the right way.
Yeah, it's grit. I consider it grit, right?
Yeah, and it shows that you could handle what comes with being an overall leader. Because there's a lot of stuff you're gonna have to deal with.
A team player too, right? Just
right.
Like, I think I always look back on it and go like, I wouldn't trade a day of that. To be quite honest with you, I learned so much, especially in that large office. There was a lot of sellers. Like, you learn so much from the people that you spend your time with, especially early in your career. And I think that really set me up for success. So I don't regret it. I think that if you had that opportunity, maybe it's not a 3-hour commute, but like, it doesn't look ideal, but it's something you really want to do. It like, make the jump and make the leap. You never know how your life will change, because if you told me then that I'd be an SVP of commercial now, I'd probably be like, yeah, right.
I think in those days it'd be like, what's commercial?
Yeah, what is commercial?
What? I'm not an actress. What? I'm not doing commercials. What are we
I'm
talking
not in
about?
advertising. What's happening?
So as we, obviously fast forward to today with you being SVP of Commercial, also the recipient of the 2025 HSMAI New York City Revenue and Distribution Executive of the Year. How does that feel?
I'm very honored. There's probably a lot of people who were nominated for that really accolade and award. I feel very special. It feels like a really big year for me because my promotion and the award came at the same quarter. Let's just say that. It feels awesome to be recognized. I also think that everybody who was nominated is just as deserving of it because we all work very, very hard, especially in revenue and distribution and even like commercial strategy. Everyone puts in their time. There are days where you're working till 11 and I can attest to that. So I think I'm humbled that I was recognized for it. And I think everyone is deserving of it, especially if you put in the time of it. But I did feel a little special. I think I can feel a little special for it.
You should. Yeah, you've earned it.
Yeah, quite honestly, I feel like it's not just mine alone, right? Like I do feel like there are people who help support my role. Like I gave my analyst a shout out because he was also nominated for Rising Star of the Year for the same for the Frank Bergman Awards. But he puts in the time and effort to help me look really amazing. So does like my entire team, my regionals, like everybody makes me look good. Right. So it's not just mine alone. Just want to let everyone know that like it's yours too. But yeah, I do feel good about it. I feel, great to be recognized. And then of course, like just the org itself is like an amazing org to, bring people together in hospitality and tourism too, right? Because there's, the New York Tourism Board, well, they don't call it that anymore, but like the New York Tourism and Conventions, I think they changed their name and like a little different now, but they're part of it too. Like I saw like, Union Square Hospitality Group was also like special shout out. So it felt really good with amongst big names and really important people, right?
Yeah. Well, you deserve it. You deserve all of it. I was very proud to see that on LinkedIn. Very proud to see all your accolades and all your growth. You deserve all of it.
Like I said, watched me grow up from intern.
Exactly. I was there at the beginning, and I've watched this whole process. It makes me very proud.
Like I said, it's everyone's award, but I do feel very special for like getting the recognition. It is a prestigious one.
Well, it's kind of like that line from Friday. It's just like both hours, but we'll just keep it down at my house.
Yeah. I'm trying to show some humility here.
If you guys want to come visit it, you can come visit, but we'll keep it on my mantle for now. Now that you guys know you're getting award-winning advice here, let's leave the audience with a couple key points. In your opinion, what would separate a top-performing commercial organization from an average one?
Ooh, that's a really good one. I think openness, open-mindedness. Obviously, commercial orgs hire very smart people, right? Very smart people who have a lot of conviction, but being able to listen. And I say this because listen to understand and not listen to respond. I think is very important. Like just to understand why that person's saying what they are saying, or like what is the why behind everything. I think being curious is also important, right? So like digging into things, and that's like the revenue mind, right? You're curious about why this comes from at this rate, or like you're investigating every little thing, but also like just talking to each other, right? Since now commercial orgs are multiple departments interacting with each other on a daily basis. But like, that's why the listening part is important, because the next level of it is like communication, right? But like, listen to understand, why is this person telling me this? Why is this person bringing this up to me? Right? Because oftentimes we see very smart people just brush each other off and talk over each other.
Right.
It happens a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Been there.
Yeah, I know. And it becomes an argument, and then it becomes a point of friction, right? So like just being able to understand each other and where we're coming from in the background, especially when it comes to like generating revenues or top line strategies. Like everyone's going to have an opinion. It doesn't mean that everyone is correct, but like understanding the why behind their thought process is super critical, because then you can't move on from it. Everyone's just going to get stuck and be in their silos again.
Right.
Right? Like you don't want to encourage those silos. You want to encourage the conversations that happen in the background. If you think about it, I could say like the best commercial teams have the smartest people, but it's not necessarily true. It's the smartest people who are the most flexible, who can listen and communicate in the best and most effective way. And then also being able to defend your strategic position, right? Like, that's so critical in any job. But like if someone's poking holes in your strategy, you should be able to defend yourself and your strategies in a polite and professional way.
Yeah. That is key. Yeah. And I mean, I've always said that if you can't explain your strategy, you don't have one.
Yes.
I mean, I've had plenty of those conversations in the revenue world. And even now, even doing marketing, where we could be talking about an influencer partnership, right? Or why we should post certain kinds of content, or what voice are we trying to speak in for this hotel? And sometimes you'll just get, well, yeah, I understand why we're doing this, but I don't like it. Or let's just do it this way. And it's like, well, that's not a strategy.
Yeah.
That's a feeling. That's an opinion. And we all have those. But if we can't back this up with something tangible like reach, impressions, engagement, growth, then we're just...
Or suggest an alternative, right? Like if you really truly believe that it's not the right strategy, then you should have an indication or an idea that a different or alternate strategy would work. I mean, listening to people to say, okay, this is what our plan is because we want X, Y, and Z. It's also a disconnect in the plan. Maybe that one person is not on board with the same plan then, right? Like if the goal was to reach an audience and you're poo-pooing that, said strategy, then perhaps you have an alternate one to suggest.
That would be great. Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's not do this, but what should we do?
Yeah. Okay, well, tell me what you think is the best then, right? Like you can't just say no without offering an alternative, because a strategy must be made regardless. A decision must be made. It can't just be based off of one person's, I don't like it.
Right. Yeah, that's useless. If we're talking business, if we're talking about buying clothes, sure, you don't like it, you don't like it. You know, but if we're running a business, we're running a marketing strategy, we're running a revenue or commercial strategy, I don't like it. It's not good enough. And another thing that I've always lived by in my career is you don't bring a problem to your boss without having a solution.
100%.
Nobody wants that. Nobody, oh, well, this doesn't work. Great. What should we do then? Because I don't need you to just point out issues and walk away.
We're not the ChatGPT generation, right? Like we're not like prompting you to tell me what you think can fix it. It's like come with a solution or what you think can help fix it. Because at that point you're just like dumping an issue on someone else's plate to figure out, and that's also unfair to the individual who's receiving that, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, and then back to the career growth piece. This is your final question here to impart some knowledge, some more award-winning knowledge on the youth of hospitality. What advice would you give future hospitality leaders who want to move into executive commercial roles?
It's a lot of politicking. I'm not going to lie. Being in front of the right people, impressing on the right people, also ensuring that you're continuously growing as well, and that you have strong enough voice to earn that seat at the table. Doesn't mean like complain all the time, right? But like, it does mean that you go above and beyond what your normal duties are. I think keeping that open mind.
Work for the job you want.
Right. It's like, you can't say that's not my job as an executive, right? You say, okay, how can I help? Right. Or what can I do to make this person's life a little bit easier? Because at the end of the day, the whole company as a whole has an agenda. Right? You as a leader do not fit into that agenda, then it's harder for you to get through that like ceiling of executive or corporate role, senior leadership level. I think that's also like one of the things I want to impart is a lot of politicking, because you have to, you're good and you can do the job, but you have to finagle your way into it by doing a little bit above and beyond and being in front of the right people, saying helping and imparting knowledge in the right places.
Yeah. But it's not just important that you can do the job. The people who are hiring need to know that you can do the job.
Yeah. It may look different for everybody. It may not be tomorrow and it may come in like a year or two, but like nurturing the relationship and also having like that open mind of like, perhaps I need to learn a little bit more of X, Y, and Z to move up in my career. So like understanding what your, opportunities are too. So like a little bit of politicking, a little bit of further learning, a little bit of going above and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I do remember, sometimes it's just simple as going to the happy hours, right? Because your bosses are going to be
present.
there.
Yeah.
Just be present, right? And I think people put a lot of negative connotation on that because some people take it too far, right? They're brown nosing and everybody can see through that. But that's not what we're talking about. It's just you want to be good and effective at your job, but a lot of people are. It's a competitive industry out there. People want to work with people that they know and people that they like.
Yep.
And if you're present at the events and the things that are going on with your senior leaders, they will recognize you. You have to be top of mind. It's very similar to. It is marketing, actually. It's not even similar to it is marketing.
Your personal brand.
You're marketing yourself.
Yeah.
And you need to be visible. It's the same reason people slap, you watch an NBA finals and you'll see advertisement around the court. This because they're being visible.
Yeah.
The next time you're thirsty, maybe I should grab a Pepsi. I think I saw that somewhere recently. It's the same mindset and it's the same tactic of just being visible
100%.
Around the people who are making decisions.
It's like if you're a remote employee, you go show your face in the office when important people are around, right? Like, it's the small little things because it is a people forward business, right? Like, and quite honestly, most leadership teams are a lot more people facing or like human facing than you would think. I know like a lot of people are like gonna hate that I say this. I'm not saying like going to the office all the time, right? But showing up when it matters. I think that's one of the good advices I can give is like be in front of the right people at the right time.
Just like revenue management, put in the right room in front of the right person at the right time.
Do it now. Apply it to yourself.
Exactly. Very good. Well, now because this is the socially awkward podcast, there's a final question that I didn't prepare you for. What is your most awkward work or travel moment?
I think I'm like just an awkward human in general. So like everything feels awkward for me. My most awkward moment was when I received the award because like,
really?
Yeah, because they don't tell you that you're a winner until you're there in person. And no one told me that I had to prepare a speech or like a just in case speech. And everybody was up there with their long speeches. And I was up there going like, admittedly, I did not prepare anything, so I'm definitely missing people. So I'm pretty lighthearted and very, very short. And obviously, I missed a bunch of people that I wanted to thank. And it's really awkward for me because I was like, I'm a great speaker when I'm prepared.
Right.
I was like, but at that moment, I felt a little awkward, and I had those like awkward laughs, like the giggles and stuff. I felt when I feel unprepared, I feel awkward for sure. But when it comes to like travel, I've definitely traveled without toothbrush and toothpaste before. And I was like going to an important summit for one of our owners. I had to ask my spanking new digital marketing director, can you pick up some toothpaste and toothbrush for me at the supermarket? She probably thought I was insane. I mean, her and I have a good relationship now, but like she probably thought I was insane. She was like, oh my God, is she one of those bosses who makes me go on these weird runs? That was a little awkward for me because I had to ask. And Calvin, I still don't drive. So that is also the reason why I asked, because we were like in the middle of nowhere.
Well, this has been a pleasure catching up. It's been a while since I'm not sure we've ever done a formal podcast together, but it's always great catching up with you. Again, very proud of everything you've done. You'll continue to do what you will do. Really awesome to see. And for the audience, we will see you next time.